Welcome to this episode of The Wisdom of Paramahansa Yogananda, brought to you by Self-Realization Fellowship, where each week you can receive inspiration and guidance from Paramahansa Yogananda's Kriya Yoga teachings. This episode is entitled, How Teens Can Live with Courage, by Brother Balananda.
Greetings and love to all of you. My name is Brother Balananda, and it is truly a joy for me to have this time with you teens who have already embraced Paramahansa Yogananda's teachings, as well as all of you teens who are still searching for your spiritual path. And some of you may even be tuning in for the first time today. So why is it a joy for me? Because you represent our future, the future of SRF and the future of the world. And that brings us to the subject of our class, how teens can live with courage and assurance in today's world. And I'd like to begin with a story. One of my brother monks traveled to India in 1970, and while in Ranchi, he met a former student of our guru, Paramahansa Yogananda, from 1918, his How to Live school at Ranchi. And he spontaneously asked this former student, what was Master like as a teacher? And without a moment's hesitation, he replied, Master made it fun, but he always brought our minds back to God. And that's exactly what we strive to do with our SRF teen program, and what I'm going to strive to do with this class, to make it fun, but to always bring your minds back to God. And just a clarification on referring to Master by that term, in his own words from the Second Coming, a spiritual master is not a wielder of authority over others, but rather a master of himself, fully self-possessed and controlled in body, speech, and mind, with all his senses fully reined. So the Guru is not our master, rather he's our royal servant who just wants to show all of us, his disciples, that we're sons and daughters of God. And we have the birthmark of infinity on our brows. And whatever he can do, we can do, provided we make the effort. And this holds true also for his potential disciples. All right, now let me share a perception I recently had in Encinitas, where I'm now living and serving. We have some nice sets of waves that roll into Swami's Beach from time to time, and that's why we're known as one of the surf capitals on the West Coast. And if you've ever ridden a perfect 10-foot wave on a surfboard or boogie board, one of the first thoughts you have, I wish my friends were here to share the joy of riding this wave. Well, that's what we feel like riding the wave of Kriya Yoga as we celebrate 100 years of Self-Realization Fellowship, the spiritual organization founded by Paramahansa Yogananda, the father of yoga in the West. We feel so much joy. We just want to share that joy with you, especially with you teens who are still looking for your spiritual path. And here we're not talking about an ordinary joy. We're talking about an ever new, ever increasing, everlasting joy. When I was young, like you, and still searching, what I found so refreshing about the Self-Realization Fellowship teachings was when Yogananda indicated there's more joy inside of us than we ever dreamed possible. And he doesn't expect us to believe it. As he said, meditation is the only real way to discriminate between truth and error. You should have a place of silence. You should have a laboratory where you can test truth. In other words, he wants us to prove the existence of this joy within us in the laboratory of our own life using meditation. And that really, really appealed to me. And I remember turning the last page of the autobiography of a yogi and thinking, if this book is true, and my heart tells me it is, then my whole life's going to change. And it did. I took Guruji's words to heart to prove meditation in the laboratory of my life by scheduling meditative efforts mornings and evenings. And then after about 2 months, I realized there's a temple a half-hour away. And so I started attending services at the temple. And then little by little, as I was meditating regularly and as deeply as I could, I saw that everything Guruji promised started to come true as these divine assurances within started to take place, such as seeing the light of the spiritual eye, hearing the Om vibration, and most important of all, just feeling my heart filling with more and more joy. Meditation, which is at the heart of the Self-Realization Fellowship teachings, it's so important. And here we're not talking about hours of meditation. When we start, we begin with 10 minutes. That's all right. But we're regular with those 10 minutes. And then as the divine assurances come, the 10 minutes becomes 20 minutes, 30 minutes. And then suddenly we find ourselves meditating twice a day. It's a natural process. It's not forced. Regular meditation, it has so many benefits. And medical journals, they attest that meditation is one of the best ways to manage stress. Stress in high school, stress at the university, stress in relationships, stress in the workplace. By calming the breath and the heartbeat, meditation profoundly reduces any stress you might have. Some of the other wonderful benefits of meditation are improved ability to focus and concentrate, increased creativity, deeper level of relaxation, improved memory, increased self-esteem, increased productivity, improved relations, deeper and more restful sleep, and improved health. So many benefits from just applying ourselves to the best of our ability and meditating day after day. But above and beyond the physical and mental benefits of meditation are the spiritual benefits. Meditation enables us to tap into the soul, into what we really are. Not the body made of transitory flesh and bones, not the mind swirling with fears, worries, anxieties, desires, and attachments, but the soul made in the image of God, the image of ever new, ever increasing joy, the image of boundless peace, perfect love, fathomless wisdom. As Paramahansaji said, you can consciously know your soul, the true self, by meditation. And when you know yourself as soul, you'll have discovered the presence of God within you. That's the key, going to the source. As Guruji said another time, the infinite source is an infinite dynamo, continuously pouring strength, happiness, and power into the soul. That is why it's so important to rely as much as you can upon the infinite source. Guruji also said, if at this moment you could completely calm your body, your thoughts, and your emotions, you would instantly become aware of your true self, the soul, and of your great body of the universe, throbbing with the joy of God. So isn't it strange that that joy is always there, we don't perceive it? Why is that? Because we're absolutely intoxicated with body consciousness, completely drugged with body consciousness. Not knowing where God is, like this little boy in Sunday school. A Sunday school teacher asked her preschool class if they knew where God lived. One little girl stood up and quietly said, "He lives in heaven." The teacher asked a boy in the back row, "Is that right, Johnny?" The boy responded, "No, ma'am. He lives in the bathroom at our house." The teacher asked incredulously, "The bathroom?" The boy explained, "Every morning, my dad stands outside the bathroom door and shouts, 'My God, are you still in there?'" The SRF path, it's a way of life leading to perfect unfoldment of body, mind, and soul based on the foundation of scientific meditation. And after just 4 or 5 months of meditating regularly, there's a strong tendency for 3 things to start happening. 1, you wake up happier. You feel good about life, ready for the day. 2, you find yourself getting along more and more harmoniously with just about everyone. People that used to push your buttons, they still push your buttons. But it doesn't upset you as much. You realize they're hurting inside or they wouldn't be mean to me like that. So you pray for them. You forgive them. And 3, when we have a major challenge, such as losing a loved one, or having some serious friction or inharmony with a friend, or perhaps a sudden health challenge, though there's temporary distress, beneath that we perceive this calm center of strength and peace that, as Guruji points out, helps us stand unshaken amidst the crash of breaking worlds. If we have a strong spiritual foundation, when tests and trials and challenges come, we can meditate. We can receive wisdom guidance from within, from the soul, and that guidance is infallible because it comes from God. And the more we practice this, the smoother our life becomes, and the happier we will be. And this builds both self-esteem and self-confidence, because finally, on a deep intuitive level, we fully realize we're a child of God. As Paramahansaji said, find that power, feel the ocean of His love behind your consciousness, and you will achieve the greatest success man can attain. And then we won't behave like a cringing mortal being, as Guruji put it, because we'll be identifying with our true self, the soul, that unlimited, powerful soul. And that's self-esteem. And the more we tap into the unlimited powers of the soul, the greater our self-confidence grows. As we use those powers to overcome challenges in life and realize our worthy dreams and goals. And as this continues, the point actually comes where we affirm with every fiber of our being, with every wisp of thought, I'm a yogi, I can do anything, courageously and with divine assurance. Traditionally, in the higher ages, the students, which included both preteens and teens, lived in an ashram in the forest, under the direction of an enlightened sage or guru, unfolding their virtue, developing self-discipline, receiving training that's both secular and spiritual. And as a result of that training, the teens were able to move very harmoniously and smoothly through the normally turbulent teen years. However, in our present day world, we don't have forest hermitages. We don't have forest-dwelling sages. So where can we get this kind of training? From a fully realized soul like Paramahansa Yogananda, whom a number of you have already accepted as your guru, your spiritual refuge to take you step by step to the fulfillment of all your worthy dreams and goals. And Paramahansaji, he reaches out to you in so many ways, through the SRF Sunday School program, through the teen program, summer day camp. He reaches out to you through all his books, and especially the new soul liberating lessons. But most important of all, he reaches out to you when you take that time to meditate and tune in with him. And what does Guruji teach through all of these avenues? To come up with a clear plan for courageously moving forward to maximum success and fulfillment in life, even if the world happens to be going through a major crisis like this COVID-19 pandemic. From our summer day program, we have so many testimonials about success stories of teens who they take time to apply the teachings and at the same time meditate regularly and find themselves becoming accomplished actors, musicians, webmasters, and many other wonderful success stories like that. And, I know a number of you may be meditating regularly and faithfully and seriously applying the teachings in a very sincere way, but you haven't met with this kind of success. And that's all right. Sometimes we need to go through difficult experiences and different karma. But if we continue with our meditations, and if we continue with the best of our ability, studying those teachings, we'll succeed in more ways than we ever dreamed possible. And here we're not talking about just an outer success, but more importantly, about that inner success, filling with joy and peace and God's love. And that's the highest level of success, isn't it? And sometimes, no matter how hard we try, we fall. We make a mistake. I remember when I was a postulant monk, how one morning I awoke during my individual meditation and had the thought, you really need to go up to the bluffs on the south side of the hermitage and see if you left that portable sprinkler on overnight. So I quickly got dressed and with that sinking feeling in my stomach, made my way up the hill in this pre-dawn grayness of May. And this is one of those times you wish your intuition was wrong. But no, the sprinkler was on, and there was this big dark circle where the water had been seeping for hours into those unstable bluffs. And the thought that went through my mind, oh, Master, I'm so sorry. You gave me this important responsibility, and I let you down. I felt like crawling into a hole. I felt so bad. And I worried about this all through the morning group meditation, through the group breakfast, and then finally after breakfast cleanup, I had an opportunity to speak with Brother Premamoy, the house brother. I shared my carelessness with him, and he listened very patiently. And then he said, yes, that was a big mistake. But then he smiled so sweetly and said, now forget it. But don't forget the lesson behind it. To keep a watering log and a record of when you turn your systems on and off. I smiled with every cell in my body and thanked Brother for his kindness and his wisdom. I felt the weight of the world just falling off my back. So Master doesn't count how many times we fall. He just counts how many times we pick ourselves up and keep on making the effort. Another wonderful benefit of meditation, it increases our capacity for love. Master indicated that when we meditate, love grows. Here's his words. The greatest love you can experience is in communion with God, in meditation. The love between the soul and spirit is the perfect love, the love you're all seeking. When you meditate, love grows. Millions of thrills pass through your heart. If you learn to control sex attraction and attachment to human beings, and if you strive to love all and to meditate more deeply, there will come into your life such love as you never dreamed possible. Don't we all want to experience a love like that? The perfect, unconditional, eternal love. And in addition to greater love, meditation gives us such a wonderful clarity and focus in our life. And this translates to being able to do much better on our examinations in high school or at the university level, to give just one example. And here's a testimony from an SRF teen on just this. When I was 10, I learned the hung saw technique of concentration during the boys' youth program. It wasn't until I was 15 and a sophomore in high school when I began really experimenting with meditation. Whenever we got tests back, I would analyze them and notice that many of the mistakes I would make could have been so easily avoided if I were slightly more focused. The year was approaching its end and my grade was wavering at 88%. I had worked so hard to raise my grade from the beginning of the year, and now it was all riding on the final. The night before my final test, I meditated deeply until I felt the peace of hung saw. The next day, when I walked into first period, I was so calm and collected. When we got the results back, I shouted for joy. I was the only one in the class to get a perfect score. And I had finally secured my A in my calculus class. That was when I realized everyone knows the concepts and the formulas. It's just retrieving them in times of stress, like during a test. That's the hard part. Meditation helped me to be able to focus and concentrate much more. And that has helped me so much in school. So, do we want to improve our grades? So why not schedule time for regular meditation so that we can tune in with that ever peaceful, ever wise, and ever confident soul and accomplish and succeed in ways we never thought possible. All right, now let's take a look at the importance of practicing the presence of the Guru, which can be a very powerful way to deepen our meditations. How's that? By connecting with him, strongly connecting with the Guru at the beginning and end of our meditations. Tuning in with his wisdom, his guidance, tuning in with his love. One time, during a convocation class, and this is when I attended it as a lay disciple, Brother Anandamoy, he asked the audience, "Where's the most holy place on earth?" And then he proceeded to tell everyone where it wasn't. And as I recall from notes I took, he added, "It's not in Benares. It's not in Jerusalem. It's not in Assisi, Mecca, or Lourdes. And no, it's not on Mount Washington." And then after a long pause, Brother said, as I recall, "It's right here." And he was pointing to the spiritual eye. It's the Christ Center, because that's where the Guru can be found. That's from where he guides us, he blesses us, and protects us. And then he added, "Make a pilgrimage to that most holy place on earth as often as you can, especially in the beginning and end of your meditations." In chapter 6 of God Talks with Arjuna, Master says, "It is sufficient for a disciple to think strongly of his Guru before meditation. He will then find his meditation on God to be reinforced by the Lord's power flowing through the direct, tangible channel of the Guru." And in chapter 4 he says, "At the end of meditation, each day, the disciple should concentrate at the point between the eyebrows and visualize his Guru. Thinking of him with love and devotion, the disciple should ask the questions he wants answered. If visualization of and concentration on the Guru are deep, the chela, or the disciple, will invariably receive silent answers to his questions in the form of accruing inner perceptions." That's such a powerful key, isn't it, for deepening our meditations and for tuning in with our Guru. And as Brother Anandamoy said from that same talk, as I recall, if we take the Guru into each and every meditation, we will find our meditations reinforced by his limitless power. Little children often have a much easier time practicing the presence of God and Guru because they're fresh from the astral world. They're used to speaking to invisible beings and in a very direct way. And here's one of my favorite anecdotes about a young boy's way of relating to God. There was a little English boy around the turn of the century when bicycles were just coming out who wanted one very much. He was a very religious boy, and he kept a small plastic statue of Jesus on his desk. Unable to get together enough money for the bike, he decided one day to write a letter to God. He told God that if he could arrange to get him the bicycle, he would be good for 6 whole months. As he was folding the letter, he thought, 6 months is a long time. And he just tore that letter up. He wrote another letter, promising to be good for 3 months. But as he was putting it in the envelope, he thought, 3 months. And he tore that letter up too. Still sitting at his desk, he thought, what to do? Noticing the little statue of Jesus, he picked it up, pulled open the desk drawer, and put it far in the back, and then closed that desk drawer. And then he picked up the pen again, and he wrote, Dear God, if you ever want to see your boy again, talking about out of the mouth of babes, the very simple, direct, guileless way of relating to God. And just as we can practice the presence of God, we can practice the presence of the Guru. You know, Master loves us so much, and he can't wait to guide and bless us, but he's so humble. He never imposes himself on the disciple. He waits for us to invite him in. He waits for us to ask for help. And when we do that, he's right there, with just the guidance, just the wisdom, just the love we need. How much does Master love us? Listen to this story. One of my brother monks was hosting a convocation in the Bonaventure Hotel. And he noticed a young man in a wheelchair sitting all by himself. So he approached this young man, and they started talking. And during the conversation, the young man related how he had been in a very serious car accident which left him with partially paralyzed hands and only one leg. And he became quite depressed, he related to my brother monk. And he prayed to God for an answer to this seemingly hopeless predicament. And at that time, he was a member of the Sikh faith, which taught one needs to have a living Guru to attain liberation. So night after night, he prayed for a living Guru. And one night, after a long period of fervently praying, he had a vision. He saw this image of a very noble, saintly man with a white beard. Next morning, one of his friends gives him a copy of Divine Romance, one of the anthologies of our Guru's talks. And this young man opened it at random, and there was the image of the vision, the person he saw in the vision. It was Swami Sri Yukteswar, that noble, saintly soul with the white beard. Suffice it to say, he read the entire Divine Romance, and it answered every one of his questions. And then with tears of joy brimming in his eyes, he said to my brother monk, I'm so happy, I'm so blessed. I found my Guru, and he lives because I can feel his presence. I'm so happy, I'm so blessed. That's how much Master loves us, and how much He'll never give up on us. Another important point is to take time, make time for studying Guruji's teachings. Guruji said, I want you to know my teachings backwards and forwards. I want you to read them every day. Why is that? Because he said, when I'm gone, the teachings will be the Guru. Reading them over and over again, making it personal. Master is saying this to me. Underlying key points, pulling quotes that really inspire us, and adding them to an electronic database with subject headings like love, meditation, practicing the presence, introspection, and so forth. When we do that, we're literally programming our mind with the Master's wisdom, with the Master's guidance, so that when we get into a challenging situation, it's so easy for Him to just knock loose the right thought bubble that contains the guidance we need to overcome that challenge in our life. But if we haven't been regularly studying and applying the lessons, that guidance won't be there for Him to knock loose, and we'll be left to our own devices. And more likely than not, we'll find ourselves getting into hot water. Before we move on and address how to handle some of those fears in these uncertain times, I'd like to read this letter from an SRF teen, a letter he wrote to God and Guru. And this pretty much sums up much of the spirit of what we shared so far. Dear God and Guru, I'd just like to take a moment to thank you for getting me through a tough time in my life, for making it a spiritually strengthening experience, for always being there and listening to each and every one of my prayers, for walking with me wherever I go, and for holding my hand when I feel pain or when I'm lonely. Thank you for giving me the gift of my family and the wonderful people that support and encourage me. I thank you also for giving me a strong and wise spirit, and I know that I can and will go a long way with it, but not, of course, without you as my leaders, companions, and supporters. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And please, if there's something I can do to serve you, just let me know. I'm forever indebted to you. Love always, forever. And this is an anonymous SRF teen. As a number of you have discovered, in these challenging times with a COVID-19 pandemic, so much economic uncertainty and civil unrest, suddenly we can find there's some deep-seated fears that are triggered, isn't it? So what can we do? We start feeling helpless like a leaf blown around in a storm. We can remember Master's promise, where he said, I am your mountain of protection, guarding you from all storms. And as Brother Balananda used to remind us, the Guru protects the disciple with a jealous hand. So to reinforce these two thoughts, we can practice some of Guruji's very powerful techniques for overcoming or combating fear. Guruji said, do not be afraid of anything. Even when tossing on a wave in a storm, you're still on the bosom of the ocean. Always hold on to the consciousness of God's underlying presence. Be of even mind and say, I am fearless. I am made of the substance of God. I am a spark of the fire of spirit. I am an atom of the cosmic flame. I am a cell of the vast universal body of the Father. I and my Father are one. Or we could simplify that and simply say, I am protected in the fortress of God's presence. So let's do that. Let's practice an affirmation. So we close the eyes, gently lift the gaze to the Christ center, and with concentration and deep faith, we're going to repeat, I am protected in the fortress of God's presence. So please repeat after me. I am protected in the fortress of God's presence. I am protected in the fortress of God's presence. I am protected in the fortress of God's presence. And then we go on repeating that with deep faith, deep concentration, and we feel that divine assurance. Paramahansaji goes on to say, fear comes from the heart. If you ever feel overcome by dread of some illness or accident, you should inhale and exhale deeply, slowly, and rhythmically several times, relaxing with each exhalation. This helps the circulation to become normal. If your heart is truly quiet, you cannot feel fear at all. Or we could simply practice Guruji's 20-20-20 breathing technique for 4 or 5 minutes, where we slowly breathe in through the nose for a count of 20, hold the breath for a count of 20, and then slowly exhale through the mouth for a count of 20, with each count about a half a second. And some of our Sunday school teachers use this technique when their students first arrive in class. And for them it's an 8-8-8 count. And they say, at first those kids are bouncing off the walls, they're so restless. But after practicing this powerful technique for just 3-4 minutes, they settle down and become so calm. Master also has a very powerful, a very effective technique in the lessons for overcoming fear. And this is his words. These are his words. Whenever you feel afraid, put your hand over your heart, next to the skin. Rub from left to right and say, Father, I am free. Tune out this fear from my heart radio. And you just keep repeating it. Father, I am free. Tune out this fear from my heart radio. Just as you tune out static on an ordinary radio, so if you continuously rub the heart from left to right and continuously concentrate on the thought that you want to tune out fear from your heart, it will go, and the joy of God will be perceived. A number of you who are regularly meditating, practicing the presence of God, and studying the lessons regularly and faithfully have found these practices alone will help to prevent fears from taking root. Or what they do is they push the fear far into the background, or perhaps even completely dissolve it. Now let me touch on the importance of seva, or selfless service. As we become older teens, we begin to clarify our purpose. We really focus on clarifying our purpose and finding opportunities to make a contribution in the material world. And we also look for ways to support the Guru's work. We ask ourselves, well, how can I align my spiritual values with my work environment? We actually see our work as an offering to God and society. And whatever line of work we're engaged in, we think of it as not just working for ourselves, but as a form of service to others. And we work in that spirit of trying to please God in everything we do. And if we live near a temple, center, or meditation group, in the coming years, there's so many wonderful ways to serve the Guru. As a Sunday school teacher, as a meditation leader or a member of the kirtan group, as an usher, a service reader, a member of the AV committee, or the photography committee, maintenance, cleaning committee. So many ways to serve as Master's hands and feet, speech and heart. So many ways to receive his boundless blessings. As one young devotee put it, I very much enjoy serving SRF, both for the opportunity to further Guruji's work, but also because I can be in the presence of other devotees. I always strive to find enjoyment in any service opportunity and to make it fun. If you have a cheerful, willing attitude towards service, not only will you be helping SRF and the Guru and earning good karma, but you will positively be influencing other devotees with your cheerful enthusiasm. Guru says in the spiritual diary, rather than be always striving for personal happiness, try to make others happy in being of spiritual, mental, and material service to others. And then you will find your own needs fulfilled. That's one wise and large-hearted devotee, isn't it? And if because of intense demands in high school, and you have those, or intense demands at the university, or for some other major challenge, it's impossible for you to serve Guruji in a physical way. Remember, you can always serve with your prayers. You know, prayer is such a powerful, such an effective way of rendering service to others. Master often said how blessed we are when we serve his work. You know, why is that? Because through our service, whether it's active service at the temple or through our prayers, we, in our own way, are helping Master with his mission to awaken the love of God in sincere souls. And there's nothing greater than that. It's the highest goal of life. Another important way to serve is to learn to become a giver. From notes I took during one of Dayama's satsangs, I remember her saying, cultivate a generous, open heart. Develop the habit of finding joy in giving, giving, giving. It doesn't matter what you give. Find ways to make others happy. And when we do that, our own cup of happiness will be full. Why is that? Because we're putting a divine law into practice. The more we think of others, the more God thinks of us. The more we take the time to make others happy, the more God sees to it that our cup of happiness is just overflowing. And we don't have to give material things. Just listening, really listening with one pointed focus when someone's talking to you is a tremendous gift. Or giving some kind-hearted words, a sincere smile, a pat on the back. That's the kind of giving Guruji wants to see. And not only when everything's going our way, at other times too, when we're not perhaps feeling our best and someone comes to us in a negative, discouraged frame of mind, we should still be able to turn that person away uplifted by having said something positive, something encouraging. And when we do that, as Guruji put it, we're momentarily stepping into Christ consciousness. And the more often we step into that state, the more natural it'll feel, until we're doing it all the time. Like Master, like Dayama. And then, as we said, we'll be radiantly happy. As we do our best to serve Master, and at the same time make time for meditation, practicing the presence of God, and studying the lessons, we're bound to receive peer pressure, isn't it? From our friends at school or work who think we're deluded, we're wasting our time. They say, come and join us in doing this or that. In other words, come and join them in doing something that may prove harmful to us, such as experimenting with drugs or sex. No, that's the voice of Maya or delusion, trying to get you to slacken on your spiritual efforts. And then they say, but everyone's doing this or that. No, it's not true. there's an increasing number of SRF teens and young adults not doing those things. So don't feel compelled to go along. For just because the majority of people are doing something doesn't mean it's in your highest interests. Someone once said, often the majority just means all the fools agree. So don't allow fools to make choices in your life, decisions in your life. Instead, we make conscious decisions based on Master's teachings, and then we'll be happy. We'll be glowing with self-esteem and self-confidence, and ultimately, we'll win at the game of life. And to help with this, it's a good idea to surround yourself with spiritually minded teens. Remember Guruji's words? Environment is stronger than willpower. When we surround ourselves with a hedge of spiritually minded souls, we'll have the protection we need from those onslaughts of Maya or delusion. As one former SRF teen, who is now a young adult, shared, I'm very grateful to have friends in SRF. They have given me good advice, been a source of comfort during all these hard times. And it is a joy to be in their presence. I have found that these spiritual friendships became deeper and more meaningful more quickly than some other friendships I've had. I appreciate that I can talk with my friends as myself, without a filter or mask. I don't have to pretend I am perfect or that I make the right decisions all the time. But we have a mutual respect for each other, knowing that each of us is doing his or her best to be a better devotee. The beauty of true friendship is that it doesn't matter that you aren't perfect on this earthly plane. A true friend can see through your imperfections and sees you as a unique and perfect soul. That's spiritual friendship. That's divine friendship. You know, after all we've shared in this class, you may say, brother, it all sounds really nice, but you didn't have a COVID-19 pandemic when you set foot on the spiritual path. And it's true, I didn't have a COVID-19 pandemic when I set foot on the spiritual path. But I had a Vietnam War with a rigorous draft, and I had friends who died in that war. As Master said, the world will always have turmoil and trouble. What are you worried about? Go to the shelter of God where the Masters have gone, where they are watching and helping the world. You shall have safety forever, not only for yourself, but for all those you love who've been entrusted to you by our Lord and Father. You know, we need to have faith that God and Guru will see us through this pandemic. As Abraham Lincoln said, and this too shall pass. Just as 2 world wars, the Great Depression, and a Spanish flu pandemic have passed in the 20th century. So, rather than let this COVID-19 pandemic be an obstacle or stumbling block for us on our path, let it be a stepping stone to spiritually set ourselves on fire as we courageously use this extra time we now have to fully embrace Paramahansaji's Golden Age teachings and the miracle tools of the meditation techniques. We know the goal of life. We have the keys in our hand to get us there. And we have the Guru to guide, bless, and protect us every step of the way. We have everything we need. Everything we need to realize that ultimate goal of oneness with God and oneness with all life. So as the Nike commercial says, just do it. And then one day, as our Guru put it, we'll find ourselves sitting at the brink of eternity, facing God, in the land beyond all our dreams, where the well of God is eternally springing in the heart and soil of our soul. And here's a wonderful testimonial from a young devotee that touches on so much of what we shared. Master's teachings were invaluable to me as a teen and now as a young adult. High school and college can be so challenging, leaving many feeling vulnerable and lost. As a teen, Master helped me to know who I was and what I wanted, and to stay true to that, even when so many things pulled me in different directions. Master's teachings were my compass and protection. Through my youth, whenever challenges came, I could always find comfort in my guru, reading a few pages of his writings, chanting along with recorded kirtans, carrying his picture with me, talking to him, laughing with him, thanking him. I kept his photo, the last smile, in my locker in high school, and I remember on many occasions going to my locker with hurt feelings and academic anxiety. But after gazing into his understanding eyes, asking his help and saying, "You love me, I love you, everything is fine," I would walk away uplifted, feeling this great love like reassurance. Throughout my teen years and young adult life, I noticed the more I stayed true to myself and protected my spiritual routine and solitude, the better and deeper my friendships were, and the happier I was. Especially in college, most people respected my authenticity, as I lived a different lifestyle than most college students. Friends would be curious about my meditation routine or how I stayed calm and stayed centered. They would want to meditate with me. It was very sweet. The way I lived my life made others feel open to talking about and exploring their own spiritual lives. Meditation spiritualized my friendships. Another thing that helped me in high school and college was Master's words, "Environment is stronger than willpower." I always remembered that I was picky about how I spent my time and whom I spent my time with. I was very introspective and filled up many journals with reflections seeking to better understand myself and how my environment was shaping me. Currently in the pandemic, I do the same. Introspection is very powerful, and it has helped me to keep Master ever closer. Also, I've tried to find ways to be of service to those in need. Throughout my youth and now, service has been like a spiritual anchor for me. Service at this time has looked like prayers, donations, or messages to dear ones or vulnerable friends. I dedicate my meditation efforts to those who are hurting, and it makes me feel better and go deeper with purpose. The Online Meditation Center has been a beautiful gift to us all. I love attending and seeing so many of my spiritual siblings. How blessed we are to be together in spirit when we have to be apart physically. Jai Guru Jai. That is one wise old soul in that young body, don't you think? So courageous, so divinely self-assured. And based on this testimonial and the others I've shared, and the ones that I get from time to time, I know with certainty the future of SRF is in great hands. Let's just close with these words of our beloved Guru. Let's close our eyes and imagine he's saying this to me. He's talking to my soul. He sees my potential. He sees what I'm going to become. He sees what I can overcome. He loves me unconditionally, eternally, perfectly. We should envy no one. Let others envy us. What we are, no one else is. Be proud of what you have and what you are. No one else has a personality just like yours. No one else has a face like yours. No one else has a soul like yours. You are a unique creation of God. How proud you should be.
This has been a production of Self-Realization Fellowship, a non-profit organization founded by Paramahansa Yogananda in 1920. For more information about Self-Realization Fellowship and Paramahansa Yogananda, please visit yogananda.org.